Good evening, everyone. So excited that you've decided to join us tonight on our Thursday night, which is Superhero, not just for life, but man, Superhero for Christ show right here every Thursday night at 6:55 Central Standard, 7:55 on the East Coast, and that, believe it or not, is 4:55 on the Pacific Coast. We are really glad that you joined us, you guys, as we are diving into a topic and a focus that I think is not just a focus for the week. I think it's the platform on which everything that we're going to be doing right here on the Superhero for Christ page, and in everything that I do when I come live, or if there is something that is streamed, or even this show, and even the things that I post, it will all be about what we are focusing on right now, which is truly metamorphosing. That is being in one place, one state, and transitioning to something completely different. That is being in one way that you know and having something change, and now you're in something different. Or even when it comes to the ability to grow out of, as I said even on Monday, and realizing that there may be situations, whether it's in life or in love, where you are is no longer where you need to be in order to grow, to do more, to have more, to become even more. But the one thing that we struggle with is when it comes to metamorphosing. That means, as we broke it down on Tuesday, and if you did not watch that show, I cannot tell you how many people that, based on our coaching together, are talking, or even something I'm delivering, lo and behold, I'm writing a prescription for that show Tuesday night, because it's all about us growing up, about us maturing, about us even becoming something more, and realizing that sometimes we got to move out of one thing in order to move into something, so that we grow from stage to place, just as we talked about even last week, that God wants to increase our faith, wants to increase the level that we grow with him. But in order to do that, which does mean new things, and believing that there is new things, we've got to make a decision to come out of this one. And we struggle with that. When couples break up, when there's a transition of working with one company and now you're working with another. Man, you were in this one position, but now all of a sudden you're in this new position, unknown territory. Even friendships, man, we were tight, we were close, but now all of a sudden I'm doing something different and new. And even though I still love you, doesn't mean I'm not with you. Man, there's something else that's going on in my life that requires something different. And we struggle with that change and that transformation, especially when it comes to changes and transformations, where maybe, just maybe, it means that I am a child, as you've heard me quote Jeff last week with his favorite scripture. And I can no longer do and be a child. I must grow up and become an adult, which means I can no longer do childish things. It's transformation. It's change. It's things that had to happen, even things we saw in the Old Testament. And now there was a New Testament, and things that had to change in order for new things to come, even for us to be even in the world that we're in right now. But the one thing that is not changing, the one thing that is most consistent, is when it comes to who Christ is. But Christ is moving. He's doing something new. So it means that we must metamorphose, because that's evolution, to change and grow. And even with the new challenges that we may be having, that we're facing, we can't face it with the old. We can't continue to grow and have a life that is moving and growing with new things and heart desires and dreams without metamorphosing and growing. And so with that, you guys, I'm excited to talk about one of the topics that I love. And I love the movie, The Breakup, with Vince Vaughn and Jennifer Aniston, because it just shows you when change happens, when more is required, even in a relationship, how we struggle, how we are challenged, how, man, we just downright may fight it and hate it and just want it to conform to us. But when change is needed in order for it to survive, for it to thrive, and even continue, we must change. We're the key. And so with that, you guys, I'm excited to add on my co-host. of our show. Let me bring them on with me today. Man, I tell you what, we are missing a brother. And before I get started, I really want to lift him up into prayer. We got a text today that, man, he is not feeling good. He's got, a fever, had a fever of 102. I'm praising God that it came down to 100, but he's got the body aches. He's got the nausea. He's got everything but what I call the signs that cause you to worry. But he started being sick yesterday, is our brother Xavier. So I'm just going to ask for all of y'all, whether you know him or not, to lift him up in prayer. We are praying over him. I launched my superhero sisters that the moment I put a text, you saw them just saying some prayers for him to break the chains and just to claim him as someone that, no, Lord, let him go through what he must go through, but there's a victory here. We're not moving. You may be using this to metamorphose him, but we ain't moving because there's a victory here. So if you could just lift up my brother, that is my heart. People who know me, Xavier is my heart. And if you could lift that up and just claim it as a petition before the Lord, that in the name of Jesus, who is the healer of healers, that he will be healed in Jesus' name as you stand with us in that position, family. Thank you so much. And so with that, I want to welcome my brothers with me tonight because we're talking about relationships, y'all. Woo! Yeah, I love it because I think every single one of y'all, this is going to be a good show. Now, real quick, because I want to go ahead and give the notice, Jeff is going to be on Uncle Superhero duty. So he's going to have to bow out here in about 25 minutes. I know Jeff going to try to stretch it as long as he can, but if you see him say, y'all, I got to run, or if we're in the middle of a conversation and you see him disappear, don't think Jeff got nervous because of the topic. And you all start to say, man, he ran from that topic, TA. It's truly because he's got to be superhero for his niece, you guys. And I love him because that's him. That's Jeff. When he got to go to be that, he will go run to be that because he's an example for her. And so with that, you guys, let me welcome my brothers and my significant other on the Brady Bunch screen. And so I'm going to go down to you, Jeff, first. Jeff, how are you doing tonight? Jeff, we can barely see you for some reason. I don't know why. It's got you on the low. Let me see if I can. And if I make it back, it makes you further away. But I'll come there. You go, Jeff, right there. Jeff, right there. Man, how you doing, Jeff?
I'm good.
Good.
I hanging out with the family a little bit today and had a busy week, but I get to grab my great niece for the weekend. So
that's awesome.
It's going to be some fun times, I think.
Oh, I know how you do it because you posted on Facebook that's a party time. You change your whole atmosphere in your house. I love that. I wish I was a kid. Good stuff, Jeff. I'm glad you're here tonight. And then, man, y'all, like I say, if he's smiling, everything is good because he got a contagious smile as well. Look, he already knows I'm going to him. Y'all don't understand. When we log off, and we got Q and X and Jeff log off, normally me and Byron are jamming out to the exit music. We all jamming out.
Got that right.
We are still hanging, right, Byron? We don't finish, and then even when it's done, we're still talking, right, Byron? Byron, how are you doing right now? How you doing?
Hey, it's Free Friday. I'm all good.
Good.
I think I got a teammate on. She's going to do all the work tomorrow, so I'm all good.
Oh, look at you. You call her out on the show. This is your way of letting her know.
I'm shutting it down tonight.
There you go. Byron, don't be upset if she sends you a Dear John breakup notice on that tomorrow. I love that. And man, my heart's down below, y'all. We can really talk about this subject. Woo! Can we talk about it? God says y'all can't have a marriage that y'all put my name on without having all types of challenges. You can't do me and be an example of me if you can't do that and be testifying. And so with that, man, baby, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good.
I don't know. I'm scared of that. That sounded a little scary the way you said that. So I'm excited, you guys. We got a great topic tonight. This is called the breakup, and I need for everybody to share this because I guarantee you and it's a two-parter, y'all. You should see the questions I put before these men. It's a lot. I think it's past 10, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's like 14 questions. And we haven't had that
15.
since 15, excuse me. We haven't had that since I had Byron and Jeff and Xavier talking about why they were single, and not married. So we know we're on a hot topic. And so with that, you guys, again, welcome, welcome. So glad that you're here as we dive into a topic, you guys. It is one of the topics that I truly believe that the Lord said, go ahead and have a fun one because it's a great one to launch what we're going to be doing right here on this page. It's going to be true discipleship here on the Superhero for Christ, but not discipleship as you know it, as God says. He's doing a new thing. This is discipleship for today. As I said with one of my clients, as him and I were talking today, you know, in order for us to become a United States, we got to bring everything united under God. That means we got to talk about everything over here, you know, and it's the heart, as he says. We got to do some heart surgery, maybe even some heart transplants. And one of the first places that he says, in order for us to grow and metamorphose, and I get why he's saying the bigger picture, but I like that he says, bring it into a topic we can all talk about, is when it comes to relationships, when it comes to even friendships, when it comes to even business relationships, and definitely when it comes to relationships and love. One of the most hardest things to do is to break up. One of the most ugliest things that I see is when people are breaking up, you know, especially when we start talking about divorce. And man, I would love for God to give me some divorcees on here to talk about this, because that would be definitely something. It's the hardest thing to do, to be in something that you know, even if you don't like it, even if it's not great, but now it's time for change. And that's where we're at in the world. We struggle with change. We struggle with things that challenge us or downright uproot us. And then we also struggle, as you're going to see with my first couple of questions, you know, not only when it comes to breaking up, but we've also gotten really good at just walking away, though, too. Some of us have become master breakups. You know? I'm just going to walk away. I don't like it anymore. I'm walking away. You know, so there's a little bit of a balance there. And so with that, you again, welcome, everybody. So glad you're here. And you know me, I'm going to take two, Jeff. God, I hate you, gotta leave, but I feel you, because, you know, I gotta do some shout outs. Welcome, Leighton Ellis, man. You were first on the scene, brother. I'm so glad that you're here. Oh my gosh. I know you missed the Y on the sex. I'm hoping, so you meant sexy, not just sex on a godly show. So I feel you. Thank you for the compliment. Welcome, Amy McCoy. So glad you're here. Sister Rachel, so glad you're here. Karina Stippick, so glad you're here. Joe Ben, welcome. Evelyn Otero. Alyssa, girl, you know I should be having you on the show. Oh, with that conversation over the weekend. I love that. And then Anna Sansores, so glad that you're here. Moya Smith, Virginia Flores. Man, y'all are all over the United States. I love this. Dale Morgan, all the way from Jamaica. Sister Marie, man, Jared, I love you, Eva, so much. Stephen Cadwell, Diana Wright, Brooke Becker. Man, I love this. Millie Estrada. Captain Kirk is in the house. Captain Kirk, where you been? Woo, Captain Kirk, we talking tomorrow, brother. Man, so glad you're here. Brooke Becker. Oh, I miss you, Tracy. I miss you, too. I love you so much. Papa Casey is in the house. You know he was going to be here, Byron. Irene Dillard, welcome. So glad you're here. Kevin Carr. Man, Brother Drew is in the house. We had a great call today, Brother Drew. Man, Sister Jacqueline is in the house. Sister Jacqueline, lift up Xavier. Go check on him when you're done. Hubert Smith, man, we got a lot of people. Gris Quintanilla, so glad that you're on. Samantha Davis Hall, so glad you're on. Shirley Farkas, so glad you're on. Man, thank you guys for joining us. And make sure you share this topic, because this is a two-parter when it comes to breaking up. And how there's many people that are even in other relationships, but because of the breakup of the one before, or even the one before that, they're still struggling. Woo, come on. We got to testify over here. They're still struggling. They are forever changed and struggling even to maybe even have another relationship, to trust another, or they got stuff over here, as I saw in another movie, where they're bringing over in this relationship. Breaking up is hard to do. Severing is hard to do. And so with that, you guys, I've given my brothers and my man some tough questions. And I love that they're just going to keep it straight. And so I want to start off. Why is breaking up so hard to do, brothers? And Jeff, I got to come to you first, because you're about to vacate the premises. And don't worry, Jeff. You and Xavier, when y'all are here next week, I will come back to some questions and make sure y'all have to answer them. Y'all like getting off easy. So, Brother Jeff, why is breaking up so hard to do?
Well, I think, for one, you know, we're built to relate. We're built to be in relationships. We're not built to be on our own and independent of one another. So I think the difficult part about breaking up is that there's a couple things. One, there's the emotional attachment that you have to that person, or it might be the emotional attachment that you have to the relationship that you view with that person. And the other part is that I know from my perspective, there's that feeling of, am I giving in or giving up too early?
Oh, that's good.
Have I done everything that I can do to make sure that I facilitate, the opportunity for this relationship to be successful? And that just reminds me of something my grandfather told me when I was young that I didn't know anything about until I got in my 30s. But he said, as a man, you have one job to do, and that's to make a girl feel safe enough to be a woman.
Wait, I need hearts, Jeff. I need to give you hearts on that one. People, come on, man. Give a hearts there.
I need to write that down.
So I think there's always that thing in the back of your head. If you've committed to that person, what has gotten us to a point to where we're severing ourselves from that commitment? So what have I done wrong? What could I have done different? So I think early in our youth, it's what have they done wrong? There's a lot of that because, we feel as if we bring everything to the relationship and there's something missing from that other person. And I just think that, breaking up is hard because there's a sense of failure. And there's a sense of, you're abandoning something that might have an opportunity to grow into something great. And, there's fear and ego that feeds that. But I think that's the most difficult part.
Yep, and I agree. And hey, Hubert, I see that you're on with me. Amen. I love my brother. He says, that is true, but God don't like divorce. We're going to talk about divorce because we agree completely with that. We're not supposed to be just breaking up. That's why this whole focus is here. But first, we got to talk about it, Hubert. We got to talk about it first because we got to get alignment. So I love my brother. You don't understand. He's here almost every week with me, and I love that he said that. And so I agree with you, Jeff. I agree with even everything that you have said, and this is kind of what that metamorphosis message. If you didn't see the show Tuesday, I almost want to command it in a certain way as a true mentor and teacher. I need you to go watch Tuesday because it makes sense what this topic, why we're talking about it. It's not a separate topic. It's connected to a godly word of metamorphosing, where I basically said that God is saying that we need to grow up.
Yeah.
We need to mature. And we need to now look at these things called commitments differently. And we need to learn how to grow as different people, grow in him, and even to become more like him. It was almost like a call out message where God was saying we're stagnant. And so it's quick for us to break up or to give up, or it's quick for us to even stay in things that there's no way in the world God would be okay with that because of us being stagnant and not maturing in Christ. So that's why we're talking about breakup, okay? That's why please go watch Tuesday. And so I agree with you, Jeff, because we really do take relationships and we make it, like you were saying, our all be all. We go and engulf ourselves into it, even though we say we're not. That's just what we say to protect ourselves, but we do. It's like there's a split person. The other person, I ain't going to do all this. The other person's like, go, 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 go. And you find yourself almost wooed into other things, even dreaming or doing things and creating stories and visions in your head of what it could be if, and so I agree with you on that. Byron, why do you think it's so hard to break up? Why is breaking up so hard to do?
Who said it was hard?
And you heard it right here on the Superhero for Christ show.
Okay.
Oh no, I'm kidding. It can be easy in some instances, but I think for the most part, right? If you've done your homework, and you actually are in love with the person or committed with the person, and I think actually how much time you've invested into the relationship can make it hard. It's hard because you don't want to hurt the other person's feelings, right? It's hard because you want to make sure you're right. There's a fair chance that there's something in that relationship that you have with that person that you may never capture or have with anyone else. You may be fortunate enough to have something different, but there's no guarantees that either the type of love or the level of love that you have for that individual will be revisited, will be awarded to you again. I just say that because I know that there are no guarantees, right? For sure. So you should be, as I am, resistant to that change, so to speak, sis. I don't take it lightly.
Mm. And I like that you said that because, again, going from Tuesday, God is asking, why is breaking up with the world so hard for y'all to do to come and be and commit it to me? Why is that so hard? So, again, we're talking about a topic that isn't just about Christ. It's what we see even in life. Like I said, whether it's in life or love, we find this, a struggle. And again, I know where God is leading these next two messages and what he's launching. So I love the beauty of this and the fact that he's just going to meet us where we are. I love that about the Lord. He'll do that. And so, Quint, you and I, man, have been through a lot since we've been married. And I think we've been through the most biggest thing of all. I think we're in our first 2 years of marriage. Woo! And then I think that it's what we have gone through this summer. Do you agree with that? Where I'm even shocked that you and I are still here and still married.
Okay. It's a lot of challenges.
Yeah. And so, but what we did, because it was easy for us to break up. There was reasons to just say whatever. So why then, I'm going to flip it on you. Why then was breaking up so hard for you to do? Here we're married. Why was it hard for you to do when there was definitely enough happening? So many things, with you and what the enemy was attacking you with, us. I mean, it was just a lot. It was like almost like the perfect storm of everything happening at once. Why was breaking up hard for you to do?
Yeah, both Jeff and Byron have said a lot of things that were relevant to us. I mean, for me, there's an emotional investment in our relationship. There's a desire to want to make it work. There's a desire to have the joy, the peace, the fulfillment that the relationship is designed and supposed to give each of us, right? Because Jeff was right. We're relational beings. We're meant to be in a relationship, and it's hard to break that when you found that person that you want to, spend your life with, live your life with, don't want to live without. You want it to work. You want to make it work. You don't want to fail, right? And you fear what that failure means to you and to the other person because of what you may not be able to realize in this relationship.
That's actually really good, Colonel, what you just said, because you talked about, again, we got to talk about the average in order to get to the big. You can't start here. You got to start here. And so I also heard what you said is that breaking up is hard to do because of the fact that it challenges you in the fact that you feel like if you do break up, that you have failed and it starts to label you as a failure. And that starts to really affect you, that you start to question yourself and who you are, and your worth and your value, especially because most people don't break up because the things are good. They break up because things are bad. So it really makes you feel, and it challenges and questions in you, what part of this did you do because of you? And if you were something different, then maybe it wouldn't happen. Okay, I know y'all like the way I just backed into that using Q as that flip-flop question. Isn't that good, Byron? You should be proud of your sister. Hubert, I told you, hold on, I got your back, Hubert. And I even like what he says to you, Jeff, down there, so you want to read that. That's really good. He's talking to you down there, Jeff. And so I totally agree that breaking up is hard to do. I think that even, you can't believe how many people reach out to me that are in toxic relationships that God would never, ever ordain. And they have the hardest time to leave because of what every single thing that you guys have said. Every single thing applies. Why breaking up in a bad relationship and why people have a hard time leaving. And so now let's ask that next question. Why is breaking up also so easy? I mean, the divorce rate is at its all-time high. Matter of fact, we talked about this on the single stats. There are less people getting married than ever before in all of history. Why is it then so easy for people just to say, you know what, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And so, Jeff, I got to go to you because I've only really got like 7 more minutes. I got to get at least 2 questions out of you. So why is it so easy for people to break up? Everybody's breaking up too. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute still.
I would say that people who find it easy to break up haven't made the investment. There's no way that it's easy to break up if you've truly made the investment. If you've invested and you open yourself up and you guys have connected at a certain level, and it's easy for you to walk away, that means that all the things that you did to protect yourself landed where they're supposed to. So when it came time to run, it was easy. We're connected. I think about, one of the comments that my dad made when I was in my 30s. He told me that he never wanted to get to know anybody else in this world as well as he knew my mom. And I didn't know whether that was a compliment or a dig. And later on, what I learned is that he had put in the work, a lot of work. Yeah. And he was happy with the result of that work. And he didn't want to put in that work again because he had done the work. Yeah. So I think that if you find it easy to walk away, you have that. But then on the other side, you have people who may have invested, but the pain of going through the separation may be a bit much for them. So just cutting their losses and going is a way for them to get there. But those people find themselves in dark places sometimes.
Come on.
Because you severed yourself from someone that you valued. You severed yourself from a relationship that you valued. And if you came together and your filter when you first got together was a conversation with God about who that person was supposed to be to you, then, all that stuff comes into play. And so for those people who find it easy, and I will tell you that I walked away from a relationship that was like the cleanest breakup ever. It was just like, hey, I don't think this works. I'm like, cool, come pick your stuff up. And that was honestly how I did it. And
yeah,
I didn't put any more thought to it. And it took me time to separate myself from it, to start thinking about how I really felt about that person. And it was all ego. It was all like, okay, I'm not here to convince you this is going to work. I'm not, and I'm just like, go. And so you have that moment too, where it's just that you feel like if that person's at that point, who am I to try to convince them that that's not what should take place?
Right.
So, so that's, I've done that once in my life where I felt that was the easy way out.
I love that. And, going to quote her, Lady Gaga has a song that she did on her last movie, the remake of A Star is Born, where she says, I don't want to go give the best part of me to somebody else. It's the most deep song I have ever heard. During the summer, of course, when I was going through everything with Quinn, I'm like, man, girl, get off my jam radio. You're making me feel like a Toni Braxton song here. And it really is it. And I like what you said, because, again, I want to make sure we're pointing to the thing. The key thing you said was because we haven't made the investment yet. So I'm just going to ask this real quick. So maybe, when you make the investment and you really make it, you don't normally stay in things where you've not seen a return. Just going to talk business a little bit. Do you agree with, you follow me so far? Okay, you feel me. So is that kind of what you say, that maybe why it's so easy for us to struggle in our faith right now with the Lord, with what tomorrow is going to bring, because we haven't got to that place yet to really make that serious investment in him, to see the return, which is to see him working in our life. So it's so quick for us to feel challenged right now and metamorphose with him into something different. You know where I'm going, Jeff, because I got to poke it now, not later. Go.
Well, I think what we oftentimes fool ourselves that we conscrew effort with investment. Sometimes we do stuff that looks like the stuff we're supposed to be doing. Yeah. We're hoping that it fosters a relationship, but it's not really the investment, because an investment means that you've gone beyond what you're capable of.
The status quo.
Yes.
Come on.
An investment means that you've given, which means that you've taken from yourself and put it on the other side. Not the effort, not all the stuff that looks like it, the dating, the conversation, the dinners, the buying stuff.
We're not talking about that stuff.
We're talking about the work. Where you open yourself up to be vulnerable to that person. You open yourself up for the relationship to be vulnerable to things on the outside. And that person felt comfortable enough to invest in you. That's the investment.
Wow, Jeff, out of all the
stuff is not.
This is crazy. Out of all the nights in the world, this is what you can't be leaving. Byron and Q are going to say something. You're going to get another thought, and then Byron's going to get a thought from you, and then Quinn's going to get a thought, and vice versa.
I text the group a little bit earlier. I got about 10 more minutes.
All right. Let's see if I can make it around. And again, I know I'm eating up my minutes, but you know me. We got people hopping on. Man,
well, as it gets later, you check your ways, and that trip gets shorter because people getting off the street.
Man, welcome, Leah Pia. So glad that you've joined. And Kendra Berry, Fernando Royal Espinal, and Lola Nora Reyna. So glad that you've joined. And Shell Discatito, I hope I said that right. So glad that you've joined as well. Lorenzo Henry, so glad you've joined. Eslin, you came back. You must have logged off and came back. So glad you hopped back on. And Edgar Areola, so glad that you're here. Man, just make sure I want to touch everybody. Teresa Burnell, so glad you're here. Man, Leah, you logged off and came back again. I love that. And Francine Buckley, so glad that you're here. And so with that, Byron, why do you think breaking up is so easy? Because it is easy. Statistics show it. So that's not just a question. Why is it so easy?
Oh, so I was right earlier, huh?
There you go.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I think it's become easy, but I think what really makes a difference is your intentions, right?
Ooh.
I honestly believe in some instances people are putting on, going into relationships like, it's the flavor of the month. Not that person, right? I honestly believe, I love what Jeff was talking about and Q. I'm going to go in and my intentions are, especially at this stage of my life, it's an investment. I mean, I'm a commitment. I'm committing up front to make a strong effort, a hard effort, and I have to admit, that's something that's learned over time, because just like with anything, right? You get out of it what you put into it, and I truly believe that, right? So I think it's just socially acceptable, and today,
that's good.
And who frowns on anyone breaking up these days? Really, I mean, divorce.
Wow.
You've got some people, right? But it's a healthy thing, right? Breaking up is, it's good for you. It's good for the spirit. Move on to something better.
You
right?
deserve something more.
Yeah, you deserve better than what no. That person's no good for you. You hear it all the time, right? How many times do you hear, if it's not a marriage, how many times do you hear someone tell you to stick in there, right? Or work with them, or try to get you to say, what's good, what's bad, kind of thing. No, they say, oh man, get rid of that.
Yeah.
Get rid of that.
Yeah. Especially your girlfriends or your boys. Come on.
Yeah.
Going to the wrong people.
I would. That's so true. That's true, sis. I would absolutely say if you value the relationship you are in, be wise who you talk and consult with, right? You go to someone that's been scorned and been burnt many a times, the result's gonna always be the same, man. Burn it, toss it, move on, next. So
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
that is good.
I just think it's socially acceptable. It's everyone thinks it's the easiest thing and the wisest thing to do, and I don't agree with that. I think, especially in a relationship that has been invested over time, there's got to be something worth the effort. If you've put in that time with each other, and like Jeff talked, if you see that you have those connection points, right? Because I've dated, at times where it's like, man, if it's over tomorrow, it's like, man, I ain't got nothing. I ain't got a photograph. I ain't got, it's like the person never existed. It's like, okay, next. I want when I separate, I want them to be like, I got to get rid of these pictures. I got to get rid of his
clothes is here.
His smell. I got to get rid of the smell.
Yeah. That's good,
So
Byron.
anyway.
So Byron, I'm gonna ask you a question. It ain't on the list. It ain't on the list. I'm about to ask you a question. It's not on the list.
Oh, okay, cool.
So do you feel like that could possibly be because I don't want to use the word failed, because that's, sometimes people think I'm judging when I say that, but I said we have failed in keeping the intensity and the value of what the word commitment really means. When we say we're going to make a commitment,
right,
that we no longer see value in the word commitment, or when it comes to giving our word to somebody, saying that I made a promise. Do you feel like, and Jeff, I may have to come to you before I go to Quint, Do you feel like it's because we no longer value the word commitment?
Hmm.
Or, when you make a promise to somebody, we just feel like, look, I don't care what I said, I'm out. That we don't say, wait a minute, I've made a commitment to this. I chose this at one time. I said yes one time, and it's just too easy to throw it away versus face that commitment, especially when Quint wants to answer. You got to write
Go
it
ahead.
down, Quint. You got to write it down. Write it down. I need to get to them too before
I'll
Jeff
wait for him.
leaves.
I'll wait for him.
You'll wait for him?
Yeah.
Okay, don't leave me, Jeff, because this is a question too good for everybody. So, Byron, do you think it's because we no longer value the word commitment anymore?
I think you're absolutely correct, sis. Commitment or relationship. You
That's
know,
good.
I mean, right? I think either one. I think it's something that we feel like we can easily replace. It's not that's not great emphasis on it. Yeah, no, there's I think commitment today does not carry the same value that it did in the past.
Hmm.
It's like your word, right? Where you say, back in the day, right? You didn't have to write nothing down. You just say, man, my word, I promise you, this and that. Now
And
today,
the
you
word
better
was
sign a
bond.
contract. It's
Yes.
got to have that wet signature,
Yes.
digital signature. So yeah, no, I totally think you onto that, onto something there, sis.
Yeah.
Definitely,
Yeah.
um, the word, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure, the commitment.
Yeah. Let me tell you what, that word came from God.
Hmm,
Okay,
hmm.
Quint, you had your hands up like a schoolboy. And Jeff said, Q, I'll wait for you. So, Quint, what were you going to say?
I'm gonna make this short so Jeff gets one more answer
Okay.
in at least.
All right, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I was going to talk about is commitment. It's about a person's values, who they are, what do they stand for, right? You're talking. Byron and Jeff are both men who have a strong sense of values, where commitment to a relationship, standing for who they are in a relationship, looking for something bigger, greater, with purpose in a relationship is something they value. They put a value to it, and they hold it dear. If a person doesn't have that, if that isn't, I mean, if they're just in it for what's in it for them, right? There's no greater thing to it than them. They're just in for it for the fun. What can I get out of this deal? Oh, it's easy to
And
break up.
yeah, and they can walk away real quick because they got what they wanted. And the
Yeah,
moment that they're no longer getting what they want, they're done.
yeah, and the other side of that, right, is if you do care, but this has been a difficult relationship,
Hmm.
and you've messed up and done some bad or wrong things. It's easy to break away from that, maybe because you don't want to deal with that.
Oh, that's
You don't want to
good.
look yourself in the
That's
mirror
good.
because you don't like what you see, or you don't like what you're going to have to deal with, and you're just going to take that into the next relationship because you don't want to sit there and
And
look at the
face,
man in the mirror and face it and
oh,
say,
or even
this
face
is
the
what I did wrong and I need to
consequences.
deal with it. And so
Yes,
instead
this
of
is
dealing with that,
good.
I'm gone. I'm out of here.
This is good. Look at the Lord. All we got to do is show up and God will do the rest, y'all. He just plays us like a checkerboard. Woo! That we just say, I don't want to face that, so I'm out. I want to face the difficulty of these things. I'm out. That's good. So, Jeff, commitment,
Yeah.
that promise, do you feel like we become a nation or society, or we as people, that we no longer value a word and a commitment? And I don't want to use the word covenant, but let's just say a promise. And what is something of our word? What are your thoughts on that before you go?
So Don Miguel Ruiz wrote a book called the Four Agreements. And one of the things that I always remind people of is that life is simple, and he talks about be impeccable with your word.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people all the time, I see stuff on Facebook, and you know how I am about Facebook. I tell people, I go, remember what you wrote.
Ooh.
And be careful what you say.
Yeah.
Because once it comes out of your mouth, you own it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think the challenge that I find a lot in normal everyday conversations that I know turn up in relationships is that people don't truly understand the definition of the word that they're using to describe what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
People say that they're in a committed relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I can have a 2-minute conversation with them and tell you how they view that word commitment. You're talking to a guy about a woman that he loves, he's going to buy a ring for, and a girl walks by and he stops talking to you to look at the scenery.
Oh.
you know. So
Wait, time out. Hold up, Jeff. You can't be going there and have to log off. Hold on for a second, bro. Because that speaks to a lot of people on this thread right now. Okay, keep going. Wow.
well, speaking of, we had a conversation on this group that I'm in, supposed to be single people, and they were saying, why do men cheat?
Whew.
I go, because they don't understand the definition of decide. When you make a commitment, you've decided to
Oh
commit to something.
my God.
And the definition of decision is to cut off all other options.
Wow.
No matter how difficult it is, you have to do that. There's nothing wrong with looking, being with your boys, and talking about how attractive someone is. But if there's something that your spouse, your significant other can do that gives you the excuse to cheat, you've left the relationship without leaving.
Oh, wow.
Because there's still nothing there. And so I just think that people don't really understand the weight that words carry. You know, you can have two people stand up in front of God and family and give their vows, and those two people can have completely different ideas about what those vows are if they haven't had that conversation.
Oh my gosh.
So I think that's what it is. People see things differently. If you grew up in a family where divorce was present, divorce is an option most likely. With the exception of some children that say they see the tragedy of divorce and say, I'll never do that.
Right.
But then if you grew up in a household, my parents have been married for 58 years. I've yet to be married. You know, some people say that because I haven't seen what I grew up with.
Oh, come on.
I just think that people don't really understand what they're saying when they say that, you know, I'm committed to you. I know my parents decided that they would fight harder to stay together than they ever would fight against each other. So at the end of the day, they win. There's nothing you can bring to their household or bring to their relationship that's going to penetrate the covenant that they made to one another. You might get whooped by both before the day's over, but at the end of the day, the two of them are going to be together. And I don't think people really understand how that works. You know, because you get into a relationship, it doesn't mean that you found this person who gives you everything. It means that you made a commitment to whatever you guys build, you're going to build together, and everything that you need is between the two of you.
Okay, Jeff, just send another text. Hold on, because I am gonna wrap this show up because I see we can't start this with you and continue because it's a thing that God is doing through all of our words. You know how he rolls, he connects dots. But I tell you what, I will end this in 10 minutes if you give me 10 more minutes. Okay, I will, because what you just discussed, and I want to go to Byron now on this, and then I want to go to Q. Let's make sure that I heard this right, Jeff, what you said, because, man, I got to go to Byron next on this one. So what I heard you say that I took more than anything out of everything you said is, it's not about looking at a relationship and does it give you everything that you put on your list that you wanted. Well, he doesn't do this, and I need a man who does this, or I need a woman who does this, or I want a man who can do that. I just said this to 3 people this week. That's why I'm freaking out. It may be that it's on your list because it's something that you're supposed to create with that person. Not, yeah, I'm looking for this person who can do all these things. God has given you your list, not of somebody you're supposed to find that already does it. It's somebody he's going to give to you where together y'all are going to do those. Y'all don't know. This just turned into a true, like, I think I am now Dr. Love. Because I think we just had a moment that God just showed up and said something big. So stay there, Jeff. Byron, I got to go to you because I don't know what you heard, what Q said, what you said, Jeff said, but I'm looking for Jesus right now because he's speaking right now. What's on your mind? What's on your heart, Byron? Because this is powerful right now where we are. We hadn't even got through 2 questions.
Yeah.
We're off.
Well, I was gonna say, is there something you want me to answer? But I always feel what Jeff is talking about, and I love that he has a great example in his parents, right? And I can remember, I think for me when it comes to commitment, it started at a young age. That what my mother defined me and expected of me as far as a commitment, it just lasted, and it's been tried and tested time and time again. If I don't last in a relationship, it's not due to lack of commitment, right? I'm even in relationships that are failing, I still maintain a high level of commitment to that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It literally has to be at the point where I realize there's nothing else I can do to salvage or save this, that I have to give up on my level of commitment, right? And I have to start to either protect myself or just to kind of give in to what undoubtedly is going to occur or happen, right? It's just why I continue to fight it, because it takes undoubtedly the type of commitment that that Jeff's parents have, right, to maintain. And even as you and Q were talking about, you know, there are going to be battles that come.
Come on.
Right. And you can guarantee, especially if you have one that God has brought together, you can guarantee
Come
that
on.
the devil's going to do his
Come
best
on,
to
Byron.
tear that apart.
Come on.
Right. So if you are not prepared and you're not constantly looking to equip yourself and be in a position where you can even work through it, right?
Come on.
And how do you work through it? You know, because I know you and Q get together and you pray. That's how you work through it, right? You look for scripture, you look for guidance and support from God. You don't look to do it on your own.
Yeah, if you don't know how to fight in war in that,
I'm going to do this on my own.
Byron.
But that's your first bad move.
Woo!
Right? That is truly your first bad move.
Gosh.
I mean, the coolest thing about, you know, the Bible. I mean, one of the coolest things, right? You can literally go there and just about find, and you should be able to find the answer to anything and everything you need. You know, when I look about things that I want to do going forward, I can find it in the Bible. When I want to look and see where I've made the wrong turns or I didn't show up, I can find that in Scripture, right, as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think the commitment is number one, to Jeff's point, and Q. You have to freaking understand. You have to understand what that means. Have the right interpretation of that word.
So I think it's powerful because, again, I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to almost or like literally command it in the name of Jesus. I need you to go watch Tuesday, because what God said on Tuesday, and he just pushed me. Everybody saw it. Anybody who knows me know I don't bring a message like that unless I'm being ordered. God really did say on that show on Tuesday that the thing that we must learn, that his children are stagnant, is how to war. How to deal when things are challenging and when they're hard versus just quitting and giving up. How to deal when things are about to change and become different. And instead of being scared and worry, know who he is and get stronger and gird up. He is saying that we are in places that we are even in today because we've not stood up or we've not done the work to train up to become stronger, to know how to even deal and how to war in those moments. There is no way me and this awesome man down here, and I'm sorry, Daddy and Byron, we could have stayed married after what we just went through because it was huge and there was no infidelity. Let me say that. There was none. To me, it was bigger than that. For me, it was bigger. It was my number one on my list. If it wasn't for the fact that because we are training up constantly and we are constantly training people to become strong, not only are we doing it, we're teaching other people how to do it. We're learning it, walking in it, and teaching others. So it was like God said, look, I'm about to let something happen, but because of what I've been doing in you and what you're doing and what you've learned, and it was the only thing, and we're going to talk about it. Me and Quinn are going to go live one night and really talk about it, because God is saying that his children do not know how to face adversity and stand strong, that there's fear and worry. It brings hate. We lose our identity. I need you to go watch Tuesday, please. I'm telling you. And that right now with all these change, we're acting in a way because of our lack of faith, but our lack of belief in the commitment that God has made, because we don't know what commitment in our word means. We just think it means to quit and change. And our God's consistent. And he said, you've got to become stronger and learn how to persevere through those things, or things that I'm trying to give you. You gonna quit on, throw it away, walk away. And it's the best thing that I have for you. But you got to learn how to go through this, because I'm making something, whether it's a friendship, a position, or a marriage, to withstand everything. Because why? It is an example of me. I have overcome everything. So, Quint, I'm going to go to you, then I'm going to let you in, Jeff. Because, again, I like what God is doing with this number. We're going to end. This is good. We got a lot of stuff. We got a lot of meat, y'all. We got more questions. This is going to go all the way into January. Q, tell me your thoughts when you hear this, because it's almost like we've been prepared. God prepared us for what I think he's launching. So go. What are your thoughts? And I'm going to let Jeff close out.
Yeah, I don't even remember what the original question was.
Don't
But that's
matter.
all right.
This is it. God has brought this. This is how he does it all the time. He just tells us to start here.
Yeah, I love Jeff's example in his parents, and the discussion about commitment, because I think that's what it really comes down to.
Mm.
And two people can stand up there in front of everyone and say their vows and not truly understand what all that means, because they've got to grow into that. It's a growth process. Just because you say I do, for better or for worse or whatever that vow is, it doesn't mean that you know all of that, right? That you truly understand what that means. It's a growth process, but you got to be committed to the growth process.
The metamorphosis process.
Yeah, there you go. It is the metamorphosis. It's a metamorphosis. You are through your growth. You're changing. You're growing, right? I mean, I could sit there and think of, because I have my vows printed out over here. I've had them, looking at them recently, and I could sit there and read those things and say, man, I didn't understand what I was saying right there. I understand that better today, after I've made many mistakes and caused plenty of pain and disappointment and everything else, right? But there was the commitment, like you described, Jeff, that no, this is I choose this marriage. I choose this marriage before anything else. This thing is more important. This marriage, this woman, and our life together is more important than anything else on this earth in my physical world. And so it's a total commitment to that right there.
Yep.
And a willingness to do whatever it takes, right, to make it work. And I think the first and foremost for me as a man, right, the first and foremost thing that I have to do to be able to do that is I got to be on my knees with the Lord. If I'm not worshiping and submitted and humble to the Lord, then how am I? Because the marriage is an example of His love and His relationship to us, and we're supposed to be submitted to that. If I can't submit to that, how can I submit to this marriage? How can I submit to the hardness, the difficult, the joy, everything else that's all wrapped up? But the joy and all that stuff doesn't make it doesn't make it through the hard stuff if I'm not committed through the hard stuff.
So good.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
I love the question.
But if I'm not submitted to the Lord, if I'm not willing to submit myself and come under that authority, I will never, as a man, be able to stand in the authority or in the submission to this marriage and to the commitment to the marriage if I'm not that way to begin with the Lord.
I love that, because I heard your question, Jeff, and you can close it out. See, I like how we've done this. I see what God is doing. My job is to watch and look for the Lord so that I know what I need to say next. Jeff, I love that Quint spoke very hardcore about marriage, okay? But isn't that and shouldn't that be still the same thing when it comes to a friendship, when it comes to a business commitment, when it comes to even someone that you're dating? It's kind of like up to God to start to evolve if it's going to be marriage. But don't you feel like some of us wait until the marriage after we say I do, and now we start to look at those things, but life requires those things. Friendship. I mean, that's why we're here, is because those things exist in me and you. Look at you. You're here past the time you were going to be here because you feel a commitment to me, where you could have said, I'm out, people. So talk to me, and I'm going to let you in with that, because I think that applies to everything, not just marriage.
Oh, absolutely. I listening to Quint talk about his vows and how he reads them now and says, I didn't understand. My perspective, not having ever been married, but, watch my parents do their thing and have some friends that are highly successful at that endeavor, is that I don't think at the point that you make the vows that you're supposed to, because the person that you are the day you make that commitment is not the person that you are when you become one. You're not even, it's not even possible for you to comprehend what it means to engage with that person for the rest of your life. And for you to have an expectation of what that is like, you haven't done it until that moment. So you become different people in that moment. So those vows are where your hope is, but it's your faith that takes you to the point of sticking around long enough to work through the difficulties. because I think that that's what we miss is that we do two things. One, when things get difficult, we don't go to our faith to comfort us until we get to a solution. We get mad and all this other stuff and talk trash and go hang out with our friends that are single, whatever. And the other part is that, or we do this, we get into conflict with the person that we love and we go to God by ourselves. You don't go to God with the person that we made the commitment to. You got to go together. Because I will tell you that the women that I've dated, that I've broken up with, the ones I have the best relationships now, are the ones I went to church with. Because we still go to church, you know. Easter Sunday comes up. Hey, you single? I'm single. Let's go to church. And we still go to church. That's part of our connection. We know that's part of what we do. And just for an example, too, of how we grow and how things get different and what you learn from relationships from those that you care about. Here's a text that I sent to an ex of mine right before she got married. I talked to the future husband before I sent her the text.
Of course you did. Of course
so
you did.
I wasn't DMing her.
Yeah.
But what I sent her was, it says, you're a very special woman in this world. Knowing you has taught me something incredibly valuable about successful relationships. We are taught to look at people's traumas and experiences and try to fix them so they fit with us. What I learned from you was that there's an opportunity to embrace that trauma so that you can fit with them. So
this is just powerful.
Because when I met her future husband, he talked about her like I felt about her. Mm. I don't know if that makes sense to you or not, but he had recognized that all she had gone through is what made her her.
Yeah.
And when I dated her, all those things that she had gone through, I was trying to fix.
Yeah.
So I made the opportunity to get connected with her in the way that they did. And that was tough.
Yeah.
She, everything that you want in a woman, you know, she's hardworking, committed, you know, all those things, you know, but there was this joy about her finding a guy who got that.
And that accepted it and still looked at her on the same. God, this is so good. I didn't expect this to show up.
So I think that's the part that we often miss, is that on the other side of all the trauma that we have, especially inside of a relationship when it only involves two, on the other side of that is this greatness that grows.
That's right. You
know, the people with great relationships haven't been whistling Dixie their entire lives. They went through some stuff. You know, my grandmother was married 3 times, outlived 2 husbands. And her stories that she would share was the chaos that their life was. She had 17 kids, so she has some stuff going on. Wow. So, but she talked about those times because the other side of that was this celebration of the fact that wasn't nearly as big as we thought it was.
Yes, but that created this. It's that thing that we got to look. Metamorphosis is hard.
Yes.
You know, and I want to make sure that I understood what you said, Jeff, before we close out. This is what I heard, and feel free to correct me. That when it comes to you, I think that God wants to work with you and God to understand the foundational pieces of what is needed even in anything that you do. And if you've not worked on that, you can't know what to do here, number one. And the second thing is, you've never done you and this person before in a marriage. It's like y'all may have dated, but everybody says everything changed when we got married. Well, it's supposed to. People act like there's a problem with that. It is different. This is where now with who you know and what you know, God's got you here if you're one with him. But now he says, I'm bringing 2 together, become one. And you've never done that before. So you don't know these things. But that honor and commitment is what should be the clue to get you to weather and persevere so that God can grow you and metamorphose you. But it's this that causes people to break up. So did I get all that right? Tied in together to wrap it up in a bow?
Yep.
Wow, this is really good, you guys. Byron, how you feeling? This is a good topic. We're only on another question number 2, Byron. How you doing before we close?
Hey, I'm about to hit you up with some new questions.
Come on, add it. Remember, Jeff, Byron, you know, Byron knows this. Quint knows this. This is not the end. God is launching what we're going to be doing from here. This is not meant to be all done in a show. This is what we're going to be doing. We're doing heart surgery. That's what we're doing here. Quint, you good before we go? You good? I like your comment, Byron. You good? Jeff, I love you because you are such a good uncle that you show up on time and you just honored. And I'm going to say it wasn't me. You honored the work that God was doing because you saw people just going and God was pouring. And some, I just love you beyond what words can say right now. Because some people would be like, I got to go. And I love you so much to complete the work. I appreciate that.
My
All right.
time of the week.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, guys, let me tell you what, we're not done. As you heard, there are many more questions. Byron's about to add them. I guarantee you, Jeff's going to add them. God is opening up a barrel. There is no way we're ever going to end in this journey. This is going to be ongoing about different things, but this is where the Lord is telling me, for those that are going to be here with me, that this is what we need to be talking about. This is what everything he's going to start to be doing here on this page is going to be about. And I just know if I trust God like we just did, God always shows up. He gives us the questions, but he did something completely different. We didn't get past question 2. The Lord showed up. Thank you, Father, for that. So, Byron, thank you so much for joining with that great smile. Jeff, gotta love you for hanging with me past the clock. And Q, boy, we got lots to share, you and I, on this topic. And I love you for being here. You were meant to show up last month when everybody said you were here, that you were meant to. And for all of you guys, thank you. And I didn't get to do all the shout outs. Thank you so much for joining. Man, I'm going to go quick. Juanita Campbell, Mobo Naletti, man, Patriot Smith, sister, I love you that you're here. Victor Cantano, Manchada, Lance Newman. Oh, my God, Sarah Kaufman, you're here. Oh, my goodness, all these people. Lana Elise, you came back. Stella, Marita, Carter. I know you had to go, Jeff. No worries. Man, Trevor Palmer, Shamika Powell, so glad you're here. Janine Leach, so glad that you're here. Man, we got so many people on, making sure to touch everybody before I go. And man, if I missed you, I'm sorry. But make sure you join us right here as we continue what God is launching, because he's already started with everything. You're going to see the page start to change to where we are talking about the breakup by breaking up, you guys. So be blessed. Let's make sure I got everything to go, and I do, you guys. And Byron and Q, thanks for hanging. My little TA needs to move down, but I need to keep her up here so she stays. Bye, you guys. Good night, and good night to you guys. We'll see you next week.